Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanajari Jamuna Tira Vanajari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Sri Radha Madhava ki Sri Radha Giridhari ki Jai Om Vishnu Par Paramahamsa Parviraj Jai Jai Shodhara Sri Maharaj Divine Grace Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki Jai Grantara srimadbhagavatam ki Jai Samaveda Bhakti ki Jai Go Paremanandi All glories to the assembled devotees All glories Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Thank you so much. Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namustate. So we're reading this morning from the 4th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 8, verse 40. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, Narada Uvacha Jananya Vihita. I'll do the whole line. You want me to do word for word? We'll just use it. Okay. Sorry about that. Jananya Bhita Panta Savai Shreyasasya Syate Bhagavan Vasudevastam Bhajatam Pravanatmana Nardovacha Jananya Bhita Panta Savai Nishreyashasyate Bhagavan Vasudevastam Bhajatam Pravanatmana Naraduvacha Jananya Bhita Pantha Savai Nishreyashasyate Bhagavan Vasudevastam Bhajatam Pravanatmana. Like to chant? Narado Vaja
Bhagavan Vasudevastam Bhajatam
Pravanatmana
Naradu
Narado Vacha
Panta
Vainirashashate Bhagavan Vasudevastam Bhajatam Tam Pravanatmana Narado Vacha Ambanda Savai Nishreyasasya Bhagavan Vasudevastam Bhajatam Pravanatmana. Senior.
Bhajatam Pravanatmana Jananya Bhita Panta Jananya Bhita Panta Savai Nishreyasasya Bhagavan Vasudevastam Bhagavan Vasudevastam Bhajatam Pravanatmana.
Everyone's good? Anyone else? Did you chant? Did you lead? Why didn't you? You're humble? You're waiting for the last one? Are you the last one now?
Second last one. Jananya Bhita Panta Jananya Bhita Panta Savai
Nishreyasasya
Bhagavan Vasudevastam
Vasudevastam
Bhajatam Pravanatmana
Bhajatam Pravanatmana Narada Vaja Jananya Bhita Panta Savai Nishreyasasya Bhagavan Vasudevastam Bhajatam Pravanatmana. Anyone else? Narada Vaja Jananya Bhita Panta Shreyashasyate Bhagavan Vasudevastam Bhajatam Pravanatmana. Word for word. Narada Vacha. The great sage Narada said, Jananya, by your mother, Abhitaha, stated, Pantaha, the path, Saha, that, Vai, certainly, the Shreyasasya, the ultimate goal of life, Te, for you, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudevaha, Krishna, Tam, unto him, Bhaja, render your service. Tam, by him, Pravana, Atmana, fully absorbing your mind. Translate and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The great sage Narada told Dhruva Maharaj, the instruction given by your mother Suniti to follow the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is just suitable for you. You should therefore completely absorb yourself in the devotional service of the Lord. Please repeat. The great sage Narada told Dhruva Maharaj, the instruction given by your mother Suniti to follow the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is just suitable for you. You should therefore completely absorb yourself in the devotional service of the Lord. Purport. Dhruva Maharaj's demand, I didn't say Simon Says, because I'm reading with some with talent, or I don't know what you call it, with some reading, making it interesting to everyone. A little pause is good. This pause is good when you speak. Yes, and also just pause, Dhruva Maharaj's demand was to achieve an abode even greater than Lord Brahma's. Within this universe, Lord Brahma is supposed to be in the most exalted position, for he is the chief of all demigods. But Dhruva Maharaj wanted a realm beyond his. Therefore, his desire was not to be fulfilled by worshipping any demigod. As described in Bhagavad Gita, the benedictions offered by the demigods are all temporary. Therefore, Narada Muni asked Dhruva Maharaj to follow the path recommended by his mother to worship Krishna, Vasudeva. When Krishna offers anything, it is beyond the expectation of the devotee. Both Suniti and Narada Muni knew that the demand for Dhruva Maharaj was impossible for any demigod to fulfill, and therefore both of them recommended following the process of devotional service to Lord Krishna. Narada Muni is referred to here as Bhagavan, because he can bless any person just as the Supreme Personality of Godhead can. He was very pleased with Dhruva Maharaj, and he could have at once personally given whatever he wanted. But that is not the duty of the spiritual master. His duty is to engage the disciple in proper devotional service as prescribed in the Shastras. Krishna was similarly present before Arjuna, and even though he could have given him all facilities for victory over the opposing party without a fight, he did not do so. Instead, he asked Arjuna to fight. In the same way, Narada Muni asked Dhruva Maharaj to undergo devotional discipline in order to achieve the desired result. Om Agyantimirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Taksudan Minitam Dena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Vanchika Padru Bhashya Kripa Sindhu Bevaja Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, by your request to Krishna, I will try to say something nice. Can you request Krishna, please? Thank you. Is there an echo in here, or what's going on? A delayed echo? Hare Krishna. So, there's quite a lot in this verse. Prabhupada says, now Narada Muni starting to his instructions. And he tried to dissuade him. Actually, it was a test. The spiritual master is always testing the sincerity of the disciple. And actually that test goes on perpetually until we leave the material world. Who here in grade school didn't like tests? Raise your hand. Everyone like tests? Oh, that's nice students. Usually people don't like tests, right? There he is. Okay, I knew there was at least one or two out there. You get nervous, right? It's, oh no, it's a test. It's the exam. It's like that. But actually, every day, every moment is a test from Krishna. And the devotee sees it in that way. Every moment, it's that Krishna is testing us. And of course, for the conditioned souls are being tested through the material energy. Durga is like the teacher. Like that. She's deputed to make sure we are learning our lessons and we're not a disturbance to Krishna. So anyways, Narada Muni is doing that. As a guru, as we read earlier, Krishna in the heart prompted Narada Muni to go and see Dhruva Maharaj and to help him. So it says, by the grace of Krishna, one gets the Guru, and by the grace of Guru, one gets Krishna. So now Narada Muni is fulfilling that prompting within the heart and helping his disciple Dhruva Maharaj to go back home, back to Godhead. Now, it's interesting here, the very first thing is Narada Muni, such a great soul, but he's saying, by the way, your mother, Suniti, she's the one who gave the perfect instruction. This is parampara. Parampara. Not making anything new. Who's Suniti? A queen in a palace somewhere, right? But Narada Muni, the great devotee, is saying, actually, what she said is perfect. What she said is perfect. I agree with her. You should engage in the devotional service of the Lord. So, devotees don't manufacture anything new, and wherever good instruction is coming from, take it. Like that. Was that verse by Chanakya Pandit about gold in an unclean place? Right? Pick it up. And gold in an unclean place, marrying a woman from maybe considered a lower class family, and taking instruction from someone who may be considered not so bright. Like that, right? You just take the instruction. It's good instruction, take it. Like that, so. Here's his mother. Of course, mother knows best. Right? She's a very, very intelligent devotee. She knew exactly what to tell her son. So, and it's pointed out here, what did he want? He wanted a kingdom greater than Lord Brahma. Well, that's a problem, in the sense that no demigod can give you that. Even Lord Brahma could say, hey, Dhruva, you can have my place. I'm going back home back to Godhead. Dhruva Maharaj wouldn't want it, because he wanted something even greater than his great-grandfather. Was he great-grandfather or great-great-grandfather? Great-grandfather, right. So, we got a problem here in the sense that who's going to be able to fulfill his desire? Therefore, Narada Muni and his mother said, you better go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because the demigods, they can only give you temporary things within this material world. And if you want something greater than Brahmaloka, which is the highest sphere or planetary planet in this material universe, well, he's got to go beyond the universe. He's got to get something eternal. You know, it's interesting, sometimes you'll read that there's different benedictions for chanting the holy names or taking Charanamrita, different devotional activities, and it says the benefit is greater than thousands of Asameda Jagyas. Something like that. Well, what does that mean? It actually means it's a spiritual benefit. That's what it's referring to. That's what it's referring to. So, what kind of benediction can you get greater than even Lord Brahma can give you? Right? So Hiranyakasipu, he tested the limits of Lord Brahma, right? He tested the limits because he wanted something that was actually impossible for Lord Brahma to give him. That was immortality. That's another example. You want immortality, you go to Lord Brahma, well, it's not going to happen. Why is that? How can you give something to someone you don't have? Right? You can't give him something you don't have. So Lord Brahma didn't have immortality, so Hiranyakasipu wasn't very happy with that answer, so he figured, well, I'll try to cheat fate. And he made all those different conditions. And Lord Brahma agreed, prompted within the heart by Lord Nrsingadev that don't worry about it, just keep giving these benedictions, I'll get them. I'll come back and like that. Your benediction won't be foiled. So the verse referred to in the Bhagavad Gita is in the 7th chapter. You familiar with this verse here? About the, let's see here, Antavat. Okay, here's the marker right here. Antavatupalam Tesham. There's a succession of verses that those whose intelligence have been stolen, kamasta hrittagyana, that they stolen by material desires, surrender to demigods and follow particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. So, those whose hearts are filled with material desires, they worship the demigods. Now, is Dhruva Maharaj's desire a material one? Yeah. He's a king, a prince to be, and he wants a kingdom. And he wants a kingdom so big that it's bigger than even his great-grandfather, who has the biggest one, the whole universe. That's what's in the heart. You know that story of Prabhupada was with Dayanapan, one meeting at Dayanapan Publishers, and everyone had left the room after some negotiations, and there was a junior executive there picking up afterwards. And just Prabhupada, him, and maybe Tamal Krishna Maharaj or Shyamasundar, someone in the room. And Prabhupada asked him what his goal in life was, like that. And he had back then he had business cards, and the whole thing is you give people your business cards. So anyways, there's a stack of business cards there. The man had the stack of business cards, and he took his card out from the bottom, put it on top. You had everyone going up to the CEO of the company, so his was to rise to the top of Dayanapan. So it's in the heart there. Oh, big, 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 bigger, 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 biggest. So, what is this verse I'm looking for here? No, actually, that's another. I think it's 8th chapter. That antavattu palam tesham tad bhavati apamedasam. You know that verse? Antavat. That everything in this material world, whatever benediction the demigods can give, it has a beginning and an end. Is it 7? Antavattu palam? So I just marked these. Yeah, there it is, 23. It's the last one I have on here. I could have kept going. Should have kept going. It's the next verse. Antavattu palam tesham tad bhavati apamedasam. Those have little meager intelligence. So because it has a beginning and end, and it's limited and temporary. So Krishna's saying that. So it's not advisable. It's not advised. And the second paragraph here is what we're going to speak more on. Because Narada Muni knew that. He knew that. And it's the trick that even if you have, sarvakama, that verse, akama sarvakama vai mokshakam udadadi. Whatever you have, if your heart's full of desires, or you have no desires, or whatever it may be, worship Krishna. Bhakti, tivrena bhakti yogena. Tivrena means, just like it says here, he's saying fully absorbed yourself in the devotional service. So tivrena means just like the sunlight, very, very powerful. Fully absorb yourself in devotional service, because whatever situation we're in, everything will be reconciled by Krishna, will be ultimately be satisfied. So Narada Muni could understand that this little boy, he'll never be happy. Even if he gets a kingdom greater than Lord Brahma or something, he'll never be happy. And he's very, very intelligent. He marks him as very, very intelligent and sincere, so he engages him in devotional service, knowing that Krishna will ultimately purify his heart. So it's described here in the second paragraph that there's a difference between what the demigods will give their devotees or worshippers. I don't know if you can really call them devotees, because there's no real love there. When you want to get something from someone, it's not really love. What do you call it? Business. Business. In fact, that's Lord Nrsingadev asked Prahlad Maharaj, "Would you like some kind of benediction?" He said, "My dear Lord, please, I'm not doing business with you. I'm just your devotee. I don't really want anything from you." Like that. So if you want something from someone, it's not really devotion, or it's not pure devotion. It's mixed. So devotees will approach the Supreme Lord, and you have the devotees of the worshippers of demigods. But there's a difference between the benedictions. The demigods will give benedictions which actually hurt their devotees or their worshippers. And Krishna will never do that. Krishna will never do that. In fact, we're just discussing about Lord Nrsingadev in the final pastime, where all the demigods are there worshipping or offering prayers to Lord Nrsingadev, trying to appease him so his anger calms down. One of the reasons Lord Nrsingadeva was very angry was because the demigods didn't help Prahlad. They didn't come to his rescue. His father was torturing him, trying to kill him, so no demigod came forward to help him. So he was very upset with him for that reason. And also he chastised Lord Brahma. He said, he's got to stop giving out these kind of benedictions that just wreak havoc in the universe. He gave him all these benedictions, and he thought he was impervious and just started wreaking havoc everywhere. You got to be careful what you give people. Like that. They just create so many problems. So it's described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Is Prabhupada referred to that here? No, actually it's in one of the purports here. I think I was going to read in a purport that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's those verses where Krishna says, my devotees will approach me with so many material desires, but I'm not going to fulfill them. I'll never fulfill the desire where the devotee will keep asking, like that. I won't do it. Krishna, that's the difference. Krishna will not do that for the devotee. Krishna's benedictions are to help us get out of this material world. And that's why it's described here. It says, when Krishna offers anything, it is beyond the expectation of the devotee. It's beyond the expectation of the devotee. Now, you can say this is a foreshadowing to the verse by Dhruva Maharaj. It's not in the Bhagavatam, it's in one of the other books. That's Swamin Kritartosmi, Brahmnaya Che. That verse? He said, I was looking, after he attained Krishna consciousness, he said, in reflecting on it, I was looking for broken pieces of glass, but you've given me the most valuable gem. So that was the comparison. So he compared his desire for a kingdom greater than Lord Brahma to broken pieces of glass. But what Krishna has given him, pure devotional service, is the most valuable gem. So this is what happens in devotional service. We engage in devotional service, and whatever we think to be valuable, the heart becomes purified and we no longer think it's valuable. That's why it says, by engaging in devotional service, all your desires are fulfilled. Hey, not bad. Right? So when one begins devotional service, one may think like that. In fact, most people, that's why they approach God. Why? They want something, right? They're distressed, the desire of wealth, maybe even knowledge, something like that. But as one engages in devotional service, one sees that the relief of my distress, my economic improvement, my desire to acquire knowledge, all these things are insignificant. Whatever happiness I can get from these things are insignificant compared to the happiness of engaging in the Lord's devotional service. Therefore, the devotees, they always say, I don't want anything. When they're offered benedictions by the Lord, they go, I don't want anything. And if there's a benediction they want, what is it? To always be engaged in your devotional service in the association of your devotees. For them, that's the highest happiness. That's the highest happiness. So that's what's being brought out here in this particular verse. What is Krishna giving? It says here, beyond the expectation of the devotee. What's Krishna giving? He's giving himself. Krishna gives himself to his pure devotees. He gives devotional service. He gives, it's way beyond the, how could it be in our expectation? Because as conditioned souls, all we can contemplate are higher and higher levels of sense gratification. Or if you get frustrated, you imagine something like liberation. A cessation of all material distress. But you see, it's all in the mind, in all relationship to the material energy, either enjoying the material energy or escaping the material energy. So Krishna is way, way beyond that. So the devotee is way beyond whatever expectation we could think of. Do you ever think about, hey, what kind of happiness can I get from chanting Hare Krishna? Right? I don't think we do, but if you were, whatever you could think of, it's going to be much better. It's like Janardhan's pancakes. Right? Janardhan's pancakes. Every week they just seem to get better and better and better. It's like, it's beyond my expectations. It's even better than last week. So it's like that. But, So this is what we have to look forward to, because Krishna's, Krishna's giving himself, and he's non-different from his devotional service, he's non-different from the association of devotees, he's non-different from his holy name. There's something, a reason I wanted to bring this up. Okay, well, the demigods, how the demigods are offering so many different benedictions. That was another point here. You know, there's a verse here, Mayaiva vihitani tan, Krishna says. He says, whatever the demigods can give you, in other words, this is why we discourage demigod worship, is because for the devotee, whatever the demigods are giving you, Krishna's in charge of that. He says here, I in their hearts inspire them. I inspire you to worship the demigods, and I inspire the demigods to give the benedictions. And Mayaiva vihitani tan, whatever you're getting from the demigods, I'm actually supplying it to the demigods. So why all the red tape? Why go through all of this? Krishna is ultimately taking care of everything. He's working behind the scenes, and so there's really no need to worship the demigods, and therefore, in our line, worship of the demigods or requesting the demigods for different benedictions is forbidden. Forbidden. That doesn't mean we can't offer respects to the demigods and ask them to help us in our progress in Krishna consciousness, but Krishna is taking care of everything. Ultimately, he's taking care of everything. And I will end with two stories here. There's one pastime in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. It's in Navadvip. I think it's at Srivas Thakur's house. You know this story? There's somebody, just as you're shaking your head, yes. And maybe you'll be able to help me, because there's one name I don't know who this devotee was. But anyways, the devotees are there, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking to them about, because he revealed himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, in that assembly, Haridas Thakur, he's speaking to Haridas Thakur, explained to Haridas Thakur that when you were being beaten in those 22 marketplaces, 22? 22, not 21, 22? 22 marketplaces, I was the one who came and laid over your body, so despite the beating of the gundas, the guards, you didn't feel a thing. That was me, told Haridas, it was me. I was the one who came like that and took the beating on myself. And there's another devotee, I think it was it his teacher? Who was his teacher? Niyamai Pandit's teacher. And do you remember what was his name? I think it was... No, his teacher. Yeah, he had a teacher before he had his own school there in Navadvip. Not Gangadas or something, maybe Gangadas. I think it was him. But anyways, he told the story to him. He revealed himself as the Supreme. He said, when the Muslims came to Navadvip one time, they came and actually pillaging and killing and just having a good old Muslim time. Just taking everything and destroying everything. And you ran from your house with your kids and your wife because they were going to kill you. And you ran to the Ganga and, they're coming. And what to do? He said, and then a boat showed up with a boatman. And you got in that boat and you crossed the Ganga to safety. He said, I was the boatman. He said, no, and he's all by himself. It was dark. No one else saw that. And Nimai said, I was the boatman. So the point is, Krishna's always there for his devotees. He's always in the background, and whatever is happening, Krishna's there. He's the one taking care of everything. So that's the devotees' great benediction, that Krishna is personally there, taking care of everything for them. And therefore, the greatest advice is this word, nishreyasya. Means for the greatest or the ultimate goal of life, the greatest good is to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whatever you could possibly hope for is going to be better than that. That's fantastic, isn't it? That's fantastic. Because in the material world, whatever you could possibly hope for, it's not going to be enough. Is that true? Right? Whatever you think, whatever amount of money you think would be just fantastic, is not enough. It's just not enough. Even these people who win, a few $1 million in the lottery, it's not enough. I wish I had a little bit more. I wish I had some more. Like that. They asked J. Paul Getty. He was quite well-to-do. One time they asked J. Paul Getty, So J. Paul Getty, now in your old age, you're worth so much money. What else do you want to do with your life? He said, I'll make a few more million. In other words, he had more than enough. More than possibly he could even spend in his lifetime. But he said, I need more money. Make some more money. So money, no matter, it won't fulfill your expectations, right? Or you think, if I just had a very, very beautiful spouse, like that. It was never enough, like that. In due course of time, things start going wrong, like that. Whatever it may be, this kind of car, this or that, or you go to India, buy a dhoti, like that, and you come back and someone has a better looking dhoti than you. It's like, oh my God, I thought I had the best dhoti, now this one has a better dhoti. Or neck beads, it's just that the consciousness is there. Oh, his sikh is bigger than my sikh. Oh gosh, I got to start growing mine out. Just whatever it is. Whatever we expect out of the material energy, the return will always be less than we make us happy. And that's just going to be, it never changes. It never ever changes. Whereas in the other side, for the devotee, Krishna is, whatever he gives is much greater than we could ever expect. Like that. Just like they say, if a king asks you, what would you like? What can I give you? Right? And you may say, a little child will say, can I have some crackers? Or but the king can give you half the kingdom or something, right? He can give you so much. In other words, our brain doesn't even calculate what Krishna can give, like that. The happiness, it's not there. It's not there because we're conditioned souls. But the assurance of the devotees is Krishna will always give the devotees, it says here, beyond the expectation of the devotee. So the devotees are so happy in devotional service because this is their Lord and Master. Krishna is always doing that, and it's his pleasure. And therefore, the devotees are fully absorbed in the devotional service of the Lord, not because they want something from Krishna, but the service itself is the greatest blessing. And that's why it's said that the most, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was speaking with Ramananda Roy, he asked Ramananda, he said, what's the greatest misery in this world? And he said, I don't know. Separation from the devotees, because that means no devotional service. No devotional service. So the greatest happiness is just to be engaged in the Lord's service. So that's what the message is here. Take it or leave it. That's take it or leave it. But that's what's being described here. So let's investigate it. Let's investigate it. That's the devotional service in practice. We're investigating this promise, this proposal. It's a proposal. It's a proposal from the Lord and his devotees. If you engage in my pure devotional service, you will get things beyond your wildest expectations. Like that. And that's also what we're distributing to people. Like you were saying the other day at breakfast, that book, the books, you're giving people, it's like a treasure chest of more value than you can even possibly imagine. It's like a ticket out. Right? There's some big horrible thing going on, and here's a ticket to get out. Right? That. Just like they have there's a museum somewhere that has this stairway railing taken from the top of this building in Saigon. You know that? When the Viet Cong were coming in, and everyone had to leave. And they're having helicopters off the top of this one building, and there's a famous railing up there, people getting on the helicopter, because if you stayed, it'd be over. So they're just rushing all these people up there to get on the helicopters, and they're bringing them out to aircraft carriers, and they're just evacuating people. So it's a very, very famous railing, because you climbed that railing, you got out before they finished you off, like that. So they're trying to get especially all the political people and all these people out. So it's like, there you go, get up the railing. So you hand people the books, here it is. It's like your documents. You got your passport in there, you got the ticket, there you go. It's all there. So we can end here because it's 8:32. I'm sure there's a lot of discussion on this verse.
It was Gangadas.
Gangadas, so it is, yeah, sorry, Gangadas. I think it was him who brought that up. Is either that or one of Srivas Thakur's brothers, but I think it was Gangadas. Like that. Chaitanya told him that. Yes, I was the boatman. I was the boatman that came in Chaitanya Bhagavat. It's not the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And it's there at Srivas Anga, and he was just explaining, and there may be other devotees and stories like that. He's explaining to them, you know. Because this is when he revealed himself in the Mahaprakash, that I'm the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he started talking to the devotees, all these different pastimes and things in their life, and he said, I was the one, I was the one. So, and it's just to show the devotees. Any other questions or comments on this verse? Yes, Prabhu.
I've always had this question. It's kind of a silly question, but it's a question nonetheless. Lord Shiva, he mentions to Mother Parvati when she's asking about the greatest kind of worship, that the worship of Lord Vishnu is undoubtedly the greatest, but even greater than the worship of Lord Vishnu is the worship of Vishnu's devotees.
Yeah.
And we learn throughout the Shastras that demigods, especially in one of Prabhupada's purports in regards to what you were talking about, where people approach the demigods because they don't understand that Krishna is supreme, but the demigods do understand that Krishna is supreme. That's said in the purport in the 7th chapter. And so my question is that with this statement by Lord Shiva to Mother Parvati, that would, if the demigods are devotees of Lord Vishnu, then wouldn't worship of the demigods be more exalted than Vishnu because of that statement?
Trying to stump the teacher, aren't you? Huh? Stump the teacher.
Stump the
No,
Swami.
not at all. It's a very good question. But just like when you say the word devotees, there's a whole gamut of devotees. You have all the way from Kanishta all the way up to Mahabhagavata, right? So when you say demigods, there are many, many varieties of demigods. And there are demigods who are very, very materialistic, but they accept Krishna as God. Just like sometimes you see, Satsur Maharaj in one book he wrote that when he was a new devotee, whenever he saw an Indian, he thought automatically they must be devotees, right? They're from India, they must be devotees. So he had some rude awakenings. Very good. And they weren't at all interested in Krishna or devotional service or whatever, just because they're from India. So in the same way, the demigods are very, very pious in the sense that they accept Vishnu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but many of them are not engaged in the Lord's devotional service at all. There's a very instructive pastime where the demigods are all in a very difficult situation. I forget which incarnation. The Lord said, I will come and straighten everything out. And all the demigods were there. And he said, okay, I'll come and straighten. I said, but since you're here and I'm here, he said, anyone who wants to come back to Godhead right now, come with me right now. And demigods, they didn't do it. They didn't do it. Can you imagine that? And they said, no, it's okay. Just take care of this demon and give us our sense gratification back. That's amazing. Krishna said, you're here, I'm here. Why don't you just come with me? Just let's go back to Godhead. Come on. And they said, no. That's pretty far out, right? Just let's go. So there are many varieties of demigods, but there are very, very exalted demigods who are like Lord Mahadev. He's actually not even a demigod, he's beyond that, but there are many demigods who are very nicely engaged in devotional service, and they know that to be the supreme goal of life. But just by being demigod means they're connected with the material nature, and the tendency sometimes is to become influenced by the material nature and to forget. And of course, the biggest, the most prominent personality in that category is Indradev. Right? Very nice devotee, but he just loses it sometimes due to pride and anger and what have you. And that's the whole Govardhan Leela. In fact, in one place Krishna said, I did this whole Leela just for you. to teach you not to be so puffed up and to rescue you from your false pride. That's what he told Indra. This whole pastime just to help you out because you've completely lost it, your focus. Tadinam is what the word is used in that verse from Lord Shiva to Parvati. Tadina means those who are non-different from the Lord. Tadina means non-different. So that means very great exalted devotees of the Lord, their worship is greater than the Supreme Personality of Godhead because that worship will bring you to Krishna. Whereas worshipping those who may be pious and so on, that's not what is being referred to there. You worship a pious person, you'll become pious. You worship a pure devotee, you'll become a pure devotee. Like that. So you just have to dig a little deeper. It's not a silly question at all. It's a very, very good question. Like that. Is that okay? Does that help a little bit?
That's nice.
Okay. Janardan, how you doing over there? Okay.
What about with Shiva? Sorry, that's not covered. You said with Shiva, if worshiping Shiva like better than worshiping Vishnu, if Shiva is the best devotee.
Best means not that that personality is greater than Krishna, but how do we get to Krishna? Through the devotees. Yeah, so in that sense.
Because my understanding with Shiva isn't like some kind of like mixed devotee, but like a perfect devotee.
He's the glance of Vishnu, Sadashiva.
Yeah, so then worshipping Shiva as a demigod being, the same as worshipping Shiva as a demigod being less than the worship of Vishnu.
Okay. Yes, that's a good point. How are we approaching Lord Shiva? I was just thinking of this the other day about writing someone about a question, because you have the Shiva Sampradaya, the Rudra Sampradaya, it's Vaishnav. But look at all the devotees of Lord Shiva who are arguing like anything with the Vaishnavas. There's also those kinds of devotees of followers of Lord Shiva, right? So you got two different things going on here. So are you worshiping Lord Shiva as the personality who will bless you in this material world with all the opulence, because he's the pati of Durga herself? Or are you approaching Lord Shiva as the great devotee, Vaishnavanam Yata Sambhu, and asking for blessings in Krishna consciousness, just like the Prachetas? When Lord Shiva met them, they didn't say, hey, it's Lord Shiva, let's ask him for some material benedictions. No, it was all about devotional service. So there's different moods, and there's even different forms of Lord Shiva. And different abodes. He has abodes here on this planet, he has abodes in the heavenly planets, he has another abode, and he has abode in the spiritual world. There's many different levels, so. Okay.
Yeah, I was just reading in Chaitanya
Yeah.
Lord Chaitanya, he visits a lot of Shiva temples in this section. Right here, he's visiting like lots of different Shiva temples to pay respects to Lord Shiva. And it seems like the answer to Deva Vrata's question actually would be yes, assuming you're worshiping the demigods who are pure devotees and you're worshiping them as pure devotees, then that would actually be more valuable, it seems like, than worshiping Krishna directly. If you worship, Lord Brahma as Haridas Thakur and as a pure devotee, And yeah, the Bhagavatam Rita goes into super scientific details about different expansions, incarnations, the guna avatars. So there's different forms of Shiva. There's Sadashiva, who has an eternal loka in the spiritual realm, and he is, my understanding is he's pretty much non-different than Vishnu. He has eternal bhaktas and eternal loka in the spiritual realm, Sadashiva. And within this material realm, you have different expanses of Shiva, and it's a little confusing whether they're influenced by the modes of material nature or how that works. It's somewhat cryptic and confusing. But then you also have some Shiva forms who are actually jivas. That's stated in the Bhagavatam Rita. So, yeah, you have to select a Shiva form who actually is a pure devotee, ideally, and then worship him, and then whether he's a jiva.
Or chant Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
I just had a comment on this topic. No
Okay.
questions.
Oh, actually, no, the very good point, because I just want to, and then we'll get to you. What do you brought up? We were just saying about the highest worship.
Yeah.
So the highest worship, what is the highest? It's what's most pleasing to Krishna. For the devotee, the highest is what's pleasing to Krishna. It's not, rank or this or that. So what is the most pleasing thing to Krishna? That his devotees are served very, very nicely. So that's what that verse is bringing out. Krishna would rather you serve his devotees than himself. That's what he's saying. Telling Parvati. You think, oh, serving me is the highest thing. No, actually, I am more pleased when my devotees are served. So that's really the meaning of that verse. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just thinking in like Navadvip or Vrindavan, when you first get to the Dham, it's highly recommended that the first thing that you do is you bathe, you shave your head, and then you go seek the blessings of Shiva. So you can go to Yoga Pit, seek the blessings, or you can go to Gopeshwar in Vrindavan.
Mm-hmm.
And you seek the blessings of Lord Shiva there. Whereas in some places in India, people are approaching Lord Shiva for simply material benedictions. Whereas the devotees, when they're approaching Lord Shiva in the Dham, they're not approaching Lord Shiva for material benedictions. They're approaching Lord Shiva so they can develop Krishna Bhakti.
Yes.
So they're getting his blessings in order to enter into that atmosphere to get the blessings of Lord Chaitanya.
Exactly. Prabhu?
Shiva is a devotee of Lord Balaram.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's his Ishtadev. I don't think he slights anyone though, but that is his Ishtadev, Shankarshan Balaram, yes.
So, now you guys are speaking of Lord Shiva, that verse where it says he's the greatest Vaishnava, then there's other places where it's describing other personalities as the greatest Vaishnava. Of course, Srimati Radharani, greatest Vaishnava, Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava. So how do we understand that?
That's all correct. Because we're talking about the spiritual platform. They're all the greatest. Prabhu was asked that once. How is it? There's a whole conversation about that once. They're all the greatest. They're all great devotees. Like that. Fully absorbed in devotional service. And of course there's different reasons for not really lines or lines of thought the devotees are developing, but and obviously the greatest devotee is Srimati Radharani. She's devotional service personified. But still, when it says this devotee is the greatest, that one's the devotee, they're all the greatest. They're all great devotees. And we're not really into a big comparison thing. The devotee I worship is greater than the devotee you worship. It's not like that at all. Devotees are just so happy to be engaged in the service of the devotee and serving all the devotees, from the most insignificant devotee to the greatest devotee. He's just happy to serve the devotees. Like that. It's just his happiness. He's not making any calculations like that at all. My guru is better than your guru. My this is better than your... like that. Just keeps going back and forth. Santosh with us?
In this regard, I was just thinking how in Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that when someone comes to the platform of Raganuga Bhakti, they're following in the footsteps of one of the residents of Vrindavan. And so they're worshipping that personality in order to develop the mood of that personality and their love that they have for Krishna. And so in connection with that statement by Lord Shiva, that just came to mind with what you were saying, the greatest devotee, because in the spiritual world, everyone thinks that their position and the way that they're loving Krishna is best.
Yeah.
And so...
And Krishna infuses them with that feeling.
Yeah.
Krishna's infusing them with that feeling. That's the ras. And they're completely happy and satisfied in it. They're not thinking, I really wish I was in a different rasa. I really wish I was in a different rasa. Could I get out of this rasa? That's not the spiritual world. One is just so... Because they're feeling, like I said in this verse, that whatever Krishna's reciprocation is also a gift. And it's beyond the wildest expectations. The devotee saying, I don't do anything for Krishna. And he gives me everything. That's amazing. There's a material where you think, I'm doing so much for you, you don't give me a darn thing. I work so hard, I don't get anything for it. Where the spiritual world is, the mentality is, I hardly do anything for you, and Krishna is giving so much. What can I offer Krishna? And Krishna is giving so much. Far beyond my expectation. Yes, Bhakti Ryan. So he's empowered to speak nicely because he's folding the cloth, the deity cloth, so he gets a special empowerment.
So my understanding is that there's technical scientific truths of reality, and then there's rasa, ecstatic emotional truths. So it's not the technical truth that Lord Shiva is the best devotee above Radharani, above Prabhupada, above like everybody. You know, it's not technically correct that he's the #1 best devotee. My understanding is it's just like an ecstatic trance of some devotee who wrote that. Like when Narada Muni's running around all over the universe, and every single devotee he comes to, he's like, "You're the best devotee!" Like every single one. So it's really it's an ecstatic trance that he's in. Or like Jayananda in San Francisco in the early days, he was famous for every time he would try like some prasadam, he'd be like, "Oh my God, this is the best prasadam I've ever had in my life." So obviously, every time he eats a meal, it can't be the #1 best prasadam he ever had in his life. Then it doesn't make any sense on a logical standpoint. So really, it's just like an ecstatic expression of his to want to glorify prasadam. And so that's kind of my understanding is these statements where, "Oh my Radharani's the best devotee, Shiva's the best devotee." These are like ecstatic expressions of different saints who are meditating on these personalities at the moment, and they're just like blown away by the qualities of these personalities, and then it comes out in the form of, "Oh my God, you're the best devotee." That's kind of my understanding. So there's technical scientific truths of reality, and then there's like ecstatic emotional truths. So Krishnadas Kaviraj saying that he's lower than a worm and stool. He's not technically lower than a worm and stool. It's just an ecstatic, outburst of his. So we don't take that as literal truth.
Okay. Well, we can end here. And everyone should tell Santosh that this morning's breakfast was the best prasadam they've ever had in their life. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.